we're going to get started. We will be going live on air about 8 o'clock this morning. We'll be live on KFEQ. Thank you for Eagle Communications for hosting us today as our media partner. So we will have the forum here in person and live on air, and it will be rebroadcast for those that didn't hear it live this morning. So a few housekeeping things I want to walk you through. If you haven't been to our candidate forums, good morning. I'm Natalie Redmond with the St. Joseph Chamber of Commerce. And how we do our candidate forums, we typically partner with a media partner, and so it will be live to the general audience. But we also do this for our chamber members so they can get an idea of the candidates that are running for public office. And if you have questions, we have taken questions in advance. We have some questions that have been prepared by Barry and his team, and then we will take questions from the audience, but only from the white note cards at your table. So if you have a question for the candidates, please write those on your note card that's at your table. Everyone should have a note card at their table. If you need extra, there are extra at the registration table, so you can jot your question down at any point. Just hold that up. Between now and 8 o'clock, someone on chamber staff will come around and collect your question, and we'll get it to Barry. So hold your note card up, bring it up to me at this front table, and we'll get it to Barry. But you can ask questions throughout the forum. Just let us know when you have a question by getting it to one of the chamber staffers. We like to vet the questions in advance just to make sure that there's not a question targeted to a specific candidate. We want this to be an educational process, but fair for all of the candidates. And I do want to say thank you to the candidates for being here this morning. It does take some guts to run for public office, and we really appreciate those who put themselves out there for the betterment of our community. So thank you for taking time to be here with us today, and thank you for taking time to run for office. We have a few sponsors with us today that I want to recognize. First is our presenting sponsor, Farmers State Bank. They're right up here in front. If they could stand, we want to recognize them. They have been a great sponsor in this series to help keep it affordable for our members. We have gold sponsor, Advantage Metal Recycling. I know I saw the guys over here. Good morning. We have two of our media partners as sponsors, Eagle Communications and News Press Now. We appreciate their support. And then our bronze sponsors are Altec, Evergy, First American Title, Mercury Broadband, and the St. Joseph Housing Authority. If they're here, if they could please stand, let's recognize them. Thank you, guys. And our next public affairs copy is next Thursday. It will be the State of the City with our mayor, John Josendale, and it'll be at Missouri Western State University, co-hosted with Dr. Kennedy at the Fulkerson Center. So please register for that event if you haven't already. We're excited to be at Missouri Western for that one. And again, there are white cards on your table. If you have questions, please hold those up. I would ask chamber staffers to be on the lookout for those and just get those to me at the front table. A few housekeeping things before I bring up our presenting sponsor for the candidates. So remember, this is live on air. We have asked them to repeat their name before they answer the question. So if they repeat their name 25 times, don't hold that against them. There are people listening on air that can't see their faces and their name cards in front of them. They are alphabetical by last name. We will have them do 2 minutes opening statements by last name, and then we will go to questions. We will not have rebuttals, and we will not do closing comments. We will do 1 minute for questions, and Barry will rotate the start of the question. So depending on who the question's for, he'll rotate it so that it's fair for all candidates. We would ask for the audience to be respectful of the forum and the fact that it is live on air, so to try to be mindful of your background noise. We appreciate that. And with that, I'm going to bring up our presenting sponsor, Melanie Wally, for a few comments from Farmers State Bank.
Thank you, Natalie. As Natalie mentioned, I'm Melanie Wally, branch manager for Farmers State Bank for the St. Joseph Market. Also joining me from FSB this morning is Brett Gull, Jake Rock, Shelby Burkmeyer, Advisory Director Dan Higman, and President of FSB, Dwayne Kolstad. FSB is privileged to partner with the St. Joseph Chamber of Commerce as a presenting sponsor for the Public Affairs Coffee Series, and welcome you to today's event. FSB is committed to the St. Joseph community and dedicated to serve our customers, just like our school board members are dedicated to serve the students, teachers, and staff of our community. We look forward to meeting the candidates and hearing their visions for the St. Joseph School District. Again, FSB would like to welcome and thank you for joining us this morning.
Before we get started, just a few comments on the district and the partnership with the school district. Improving quality of life is the best path of Midwesterners' rejuvenation. According to research, communities with higher quality of life experience both higher employment and population growth. The stronger the factor, according to research, is the quality of public education. Investing in education and availability of early education. The Chamber believes in this so much that we partnered with Mosaic to fund an 18-month community engagement initiative. Hundreds of community members helped create this action plan and have asked the district to focus on these 5 areas: improving culture, recruitment and retention of high-quality staff, student performance, pre-K to 5th grade, expanding early childhood education, student performance 6th through 12th, and facilities. The district is currently working on this, and things are beginning to happen. They are repurposing Mark Twain Elementary for an early education center. They're adding additional disciplinary classrooms at Webster, and they're focusing to improve student performance from attendance to grades. Quality education is one of the areas included in our Imagine St. Joseph 2040 plan. Our plan calls for us to become a community that values and invests in education. It is something that the Community Alliance partners and myself think about every day. And we have to work as a community to make it happen. It really takes all of us. So many good things are happening in our community. Many of these things are part of a growing cycle of dedicated citizens who play a huge role in making this happen and are investing in people, creating a better place and growing prosperity. But again, I call on all of you to help us continue the momentum to create a better community, and I ask for you to go out and vote and support a candidate that you think best values your value system. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Barry. Another reminder, hold up those cards if you have questions, and candidates, you're sharing a mic. Don't be afraid of the mic, but speak clearly into the mic and try not to jiggle it, or Travis will come up and adjust us. So please, with that, Barry, take it away. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Natalie. We'll start with the introduction of the candidates, and I'm going to ask the candidates starting to my right, just lean in to your microphone, but don't, as Natalie said, don't bang the microphone around. Just lean in, introduce yourself, just give your name so that people can start to associate your voice with your name, and then we'll come back and we'll have opening statements. But let's start down at the far right.
I'm Harold Barr.
Amanda Cook.
Don Crabtree. Rick Gehring.
Bradley Hewitt.
Jennifer Kearns.
Good morning, I'm Whitney Lanning.
I'm Brian Schul.
All right, thank you very much. Let's go down now to start with Mr. Barr at that end, and you have 2 minutes, up to 2 minutes for your opening statement, and then we'll just hear from everybody with opening statements to begin with. And I invite you again to watch our timekeeper. Missy has got the cards, and she'll give you the indication when you're running out of time. You don't have to take, you have up to 2 minutes. You don't have to take the whole 2 minutes if you don't want to, but feel free to do so. Mr. Barr.
Okay, I am Harold Barr Jr. My dad they called him Harold, and my mother wouldn't let anybody call me Junior, so I've gone all my life by Bud. However, when I had to register under my given name. But you can call me whatever you want, Harold or Bud, it's fine. I am a professional engineer and a professional land surveyor. I had a company in this town for 15 years. I've been married to a school teacher who taught at Central for 28 years. I currently have 7 grandchildren in the school system. And I feel like I have a kind of a vested interest in this. I have worked in other cities, but I've always called St. Joe home. And I've done a lot of different things, worked with a lot of different people, and some of you out there that are a little bit older may remember me from when I had my company here. When I had it here, I was a member of the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
Thank you, Harold Barr. Next up is Amanda Cook.
I'm Amanda Cook, and I am a 3rd generation from St. Joseph, born and raised. And I've chose to run for school board to help the children, trying to prevent them from falling behind and eventually dropping out. That's my #1 goal, and I want to make sure that we do what we can for our children so that they have all of the skills that they need when they leave school and go out into the workforce. I'm also an advocate for teachers. I am currently an employee of the St. Joseph School District as an assistant coach for Central High School swim team. And I visit with teachers a lot with my own swimmers, checking on them and their grades and how they're doing in their classrooms. And so I visit with the teachers, and I really feel like we as a community need to come together with them and help support them so that they can feel valued, so that they can continue to give our children their best abilities, and they want to stay around and educate our children. And those are really a few of the key things that I'm running for. And I just want to do the best I can for this community to give back for what they've done for myself and my own 3 children.
Thank you, Amanda. Next up is Don Crabtree.
Hi, I'm Don Crabtree. I am a retired educator of 47 years in a different district, and I do want to point out that was only because when I applied here back in the dark ages, there were no openings, and so because we wanted to eat and we had a baby on the way, I did take a job in a different district. I've taught in a small private school, a large mega-sized school of about 3,800, and then finished my career in a school around 1,600, which was almost ideal, but at the same time got a little large. I served 30 years as a president, vice president on the National Speech and Debate Association, which is a group that oversees about 5,000 high schools in the United States. And we host every year the world's largest academic competition. I was able to travel to Beijing, to Seoul, Korea, several other places, and see some educational examples there. The great part of that was it was all on their dime, not mine. But I learned so very much from that. St. Joe native, North Ender, Lafayette High School. My wife, Central graduate, daughter Central graduate, granddaughter soon to be a Central graduate, but we've all been products of the district. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Rick Gehring.
Good morning. My name is Rick Gehring. With this 2 minutes, I want to tell you a little bit about me, my family, and why I think I'm a strong candidate. I am originally from St. Joe, went to public school all the way through college, went to Missouri Western, majored in criminal justice with an emphasis in juvenile delinquency. So needless to say, I work in sales now. My wife is from Benton. I'm a Central graduate, so proof that we can coexist and get along. We've been married for 21 years. We have 3 boys, all in the district. Cade, my oldest, just graduated from Benton. He's at Missouri Western now. Kemper is a junior at Benton, and Cruz, my youngest, is at Hosea. Nicole, my wife, is the secretary at Hosea Elementary. Before that, she was the family involvement coordinator there. So I get a kind of a window into the elementary school there and see the great things that are going on down there. Why I think I'd be a good candidate is, first and foremost, the experience. I have served on the Board of Education before, back in 2020 and 21. I understand what it takes to make the tough decisions. They require a lot of forethought. Sometimes they're not the most popular decision. But that's something I did successfully and would continue to do. Was very proud. I did get the endorsement of the Missouri State Teachers Association, so I was very proud and honored to get the MSTA endorsement. But at the end of the day, I'm a dad of 3 kids, and so just a couple weeks ago, I was in Springfield screaming my head off, making a fool of myself, cheering for the Benton girls and the Lafayette boys, and so I'm just a concerned dad who wants to make sure this district is the best it can be. As far as political office, this is as high as you're going to see me. No city council, no mayor, no state senate. I just want to be on the board to help give back to the district because they've given a lot back to me and my family. So thank you.
That was Rick Gehring. Next up is Brad Hewitt.
Good morning, my name is Brad Hewitt. Originally from the Springfield, Missouri area. I moved to St. Joseph with my wife, and at the time my oldest son was 1. In 2015, after moving here in 2015, I've worked towards a career in EMS where I currently work for McKinney County EMS as an EMT.
A little closer to your mic, please.
Is this better? Okay. I currently work for McKinney County EMS. Since moving here in 2015, I've grown my family to, I have 3 students in the district now, 3rd grade and 1st grade at Parkway Elementary, and then my youngest are at the Early Learning Center for pre-K. I'm running for the board from a parent perspective to be more involved in my child's education, as I've done what I feel I can do to the max on the parent side. So this is a way for me to get further involved and to educate myself from behind the scenes and to make a difference in that matter and be a voice for the parents. Thank you.
That was Brad Hewitt. Next up is Jennifer Kern.
Hi, my name's Jennifer Kearns. Good morning. I am currently in the school PTA council. I'm the president of it for the last couple of years and been involved for several years. So currently I have a 13-year-old that's in the school district, and I have a 21-year-old that graduated and getting ready to graduate from RN school from Missouri Western. I worked at Mosaic for 17 years. I currently just switched to Oracle Cerner. I know we just switched that, but yes, and I'm still learning Epic with Mosaic as well as I help with the Chiefs camp in the community. So also in town, I also do the PEO. I see PEO members here in this room, and I also do the project graduations for the seniors as well as junior league, and I just graduated from the United Way leadership class last year. So I'm very involved with the community already. So when I come to the table with the board, my decisions are based on student advocacy, obviously, parent engagement, and community engagement. I also look at the community. We are a wonderful community. We have great potential, but we have to become a more desirable community to bring in more teacher and staff and keep the ones we have, attract more families, business owners, healthcare workers. I know from the healthcare, we struggle getting doctors in here. We have to grow as a community, and I like to be a part of that.
Jennifer Kern. Next up is Whitney Lanning.
Hi, my name is Whitney Lanning. My husband and I live here in St. Joseph with our 2 daughters. Our oldest is a 5th grader in the district, and our youngest will be in kindergarten next year. I have a master's degree in counseling psychology, and while I was going to grad school at Avila, I worked full-time as a child abuse investigator in Kansas City. In 2013, we relocated to St. Joseph, and I became the director of Head Start and Early Head Start. And for the past 7 years, I've been the executive director of a local nonprofit. We'll get into policies and problems in our district and the solutions, but I want to talk about the question I get more than any other question, even more than how tall are you? The people on the radio won't get that, but I'm 6'3", so there's that joke. But the question I get more than any other is why would you run for office? It's so hard. But the answer for me is very simple. I know the value of public education. My dad was a school superintendent when I was growing up. Dr. Pegram is on his 28th year as a school superintendent. But what's also true is that he is a first-generation college student, and he went to college on a Pell Grant. What's also true is that his grandfather was his school janitor, and he grew up very poor. And if it wasn't for access to a quality public education, he would not have the things that he has today, and the trajectory of our lives would not have been changed in the way that they were. And I believe that all of our students here in St. Joseph deserve that right and that opportunity. So it's true, running for office and serving in public office is very difficult. People will make up fabricated stories about you just to tear you down, but that's okay, because I know the content of my character, and I'm proud of the things that I have done and the things that I have not. And if I'm elected, I'll work hard because our students and our staff and our community are worth it. Thank you.
It was Whitney Lanning, and here's Brian Schul.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Brian Schul. I'm originally from Excelsior Springs, Missouri, about an hour south of here. What brought me to St. Joseph was to attend Missouri Western State University to get that oh-so-easy-to-get 4-year degree. Finally got it after 9 years. Don't worry, changed my degree 9 times and finally settled on one. But I couldn't leave because I love this town so much. I am the husband of a teacher here in the district who teaches at Carden Park Elementary, 6th grade in the elementary school. So very, very passionate teacher I have in my household. And then some of the involvement that I have in this community is I am the assistant general manager and part owner of Pizza Ranch here in town. Country's best chicken, you all know it, it's true. As well as I'm involved with the Chamber of Commerce Diplomats Club, serving in the capacity this year as chair for that club. So some of the experience that I would bring to the board is I currently serve on the board of directors for the Chamber of Commerce in my capacity as the Diplomats chair, and then I have served on the board of governors for Missouri Western in my capacity as a student for the student representative. And there are people in this room that got the privilege of serving with me on that board and know that I am not a quiet person. I did not have a vote, but I very much let it be known my opinion on such as that. The 3 areas that I'm running for is the early learning initiatives, behaviors and mental health, and then the recruitment and retaining of the quality teachers that we have. Those are the 3 top areas a lot of us up here will be talking about. So I hope to receive your vote on April 4th. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian Schul. Now we move into the question period, and you have a minute, candidates up to a minute to respond to each question. Each question will be for every candidate, so even if there's a specific question directed to a particular candidate, we're going to have all the candidates respond to it so that everybody has a chance to weigh in. And we're going to start now at the other end. We'll start at Brian Schul's end and work up this way. The question to start with is, what are your ideas for addressing discipline problems in the St. Joseph School District?
Again, this is Brian Schul. That is a wonderful question. I think the thing is that we have to figure out what current practices are being used at this time. I am no expert when it comes to discipline. Just ask my daughter. She's 2, she doesn't know. But I think actually talking with the educators, the admin, seeing what we're currently doing and what they believe could potentially work in their buildings would be a great asset, and it also opens up that line of communication between us as school board members and the buildings themselves.
That was Brian Schul. Now Whitney Lanning.
Hi, Whitney Lanning. So for the past 10 to 15 years, I've worked in the field of children and families. I've worked with children that are affected by trauma, and so I really believe that what you're seeing right now are kids that have been affected by trauma. We have over 70% of our school district is on free and reduced lunch. So that gives you an indicator that we have some challenges in our community and with our children. I am really optimistic about the opening of Webster as alternative education so that we can get children that are having violent behaviors in our classroom into a smaller setting with more intensive services. And I think that will go a long way with increasing the safety of our classrooms and getting the services to our kids that need them.
That was Whitney Lanning. Next is Jennifer Kearns.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Kearns. On this question, I think accountability has a lot to do with it. I think we need to look at our policies because I know our teachers' hands are tied when it comes to this and can only do so much. But I think we need to review the policies and make sure accountability is held. And I also do think the Webster is a good start for a recurring problem children that happen. But yes, accountability would be my main reason.
Okay. Thank you, Jennifer Kern. Next up is Brad Hewitt.
So this is Brian Hewitt. I would say for me, supporting the teachers in the classroom, listening to what the issues are, them being on the front lines, get their feedback on what they think that the greatest issues are in their particular classrooms. Speak with the teachers that are curbing these obstacles well, see what's working well for them, and share that with other teachers through the district to implement something more district-wide to assist them in dealing with those behaviors in the classroom. I agree with the Webster decision as far as getting those students the extra space to be able to deal with those with more resources and removing those distractions from the classroom, but not just forgetting about those students, but giving them the help that they need. Thank you.
That was Brad Hewitt. Next up is Rick Gehring.
Would you mind repeating it one more time? I'm sorry.
Sure. The question is, what are your ideas for addressing discipline problems in the St. Joseph School District?
So when we run for the board, there's a lot of questionnaires and things that we have to fill out. And one thing I've consistently said on mine is, as far as a short-term goal, being able to get Webster fully staffed and fully funded is going to be huge for us. Right now, it's just high school, but we're going to move from 3rd to 12th, and to be able to find those quality teachers who are willing to take that challenge, to get the kids who are a distraction out of their home schools, get some individual attention, work with them, hopefully get them back to their home schools. I know firsthand from my wife being the family involvement coordinator and secretary, it's really not her job to help out with behaviors, but there are many times she gets pulled away from the office because she has to go help out in the class or take a walk with the kiddo. And this affects our kids because they're not learning, they keep getting interrupted because of behaviors. So I think if we get Webster fully funded and fully staffed, you're gonna see, I think, dramatic improvements of our kiddos.
That was Rick Gehring. Next up is Don Crabtree.
Hi, Don Crabtree. I think before we even get to the Webster level, one thing that we have to do in all of our schools is have consistency. Over and over I hear that what happened at school A is treated differently than school B, and I know circumstances can be different, but if the issue is the same at Lafayette as it is at another high school, it would seem to me that the punishment ought to be the same. But a lot comes down to, unfortunately, who are you? Are you an important person maybe in the community? And we've got to forget that and help these kids. Webster, I think, is a great point to get them to, but maybe if we can be consistent in our decision making, Webster won't become a capacity, is my hope.
That was Don Crabtree. Next is Amanda Cook.
Amanda Cook. I do feel that Webster is going to be a great asset for our teachers and educators, because when you remove the distractions from the classroom, then the teachers can focus on teaching the requirements, the curriculum that they're required to teach. And then the children that are removed and sent to Webster will be able to have more one-on-one or smaller classrooms so that the teachers can focus on helping those students correct their behavior so that they can get back into their home school and continue to thrive without being a distraction.
That was Amanda Cook, and now Bud Barr.
Hello, this is Harold Barr. I hate to be a broken record, but we all are talking about Webster being the thing. But the teachers themselves have to have a certain amount of discipline in their class. And I'm hoping that the people that do go to Webster will only be the chronic offenders, not the ones that just, that are just occasional. But when I went to school, we had what they call corporal punishment, particularly in the elementary schools. And I don't know, maybe we need to go back to that.
Thank you, Harold Barr. All right, our next question has to do with attendance in our schools, and we'll start at Harold Barr's end when we get to this. What is your suggestion to improve attendance in our schools, and how important is it that this be done? Harold Barr.
Okay, Harold Barr. Attendance is one of the most important things that we can have in a school. And by that, a lot of our funding comes because of attendance, and you can't teach a child who's not there. You've got to have attendance, and you've got to have the parent pushing the child to get them to come. Many kids do not want to come for various reasons, and it just has to be a community that has to impress upon these kids that they have to go to school.
That was Harold Barr. Now Amanda Cook.
Amanda Cook. Improving attendance is crucial to educating children. Children cannot learn if they're not in the classroom. I feel like once we can reach out to the community and get them to see that investing in their own children is important, it is vital to the future of our community, that when we will get the children back into the classrooms, into the schools. I think some of the things that we need to do is give the children a reason to want to attend school, extracurricular activities, no matter what it is, whether it's a sports activity, whether it's fine arts, whether it's speech and debate, or there's a group, chess club, anything. Get the children involved in an extracurricular activity, give them a reason to want to go to school, to be successful so that they can participate in those activities. I think that is one of the key things to help the children attend class.
Thank you, Amanda Cook. Next up is Don Crabtree.
Hi, Don Crabtree. One of your great staff members I talked to recently said, we've got to give these kids a reason to want to be here. There needs to be something that they say, I don't want to miss today. And so that's going to really, put a lot of burden on the staff, but we have some outstanding educators in this district. The other thing that really hurt us was, as you well know, the pandemic. Kids got used to quote Zoom and just turning it on and sitting back, and then at some point saying, who cares? I'm going to go watch TV, I'm going to go back to bed. And we got into that horrible rut. And finally, many, many years ago, some of you remember, our prosecuting attorney actually went to the really chronic people the parents that did not help their children get to school, and encouraged them to do that. And I don't know if we're at that point, but so much, you can't educate a kid unless they're present.
Thank you, Don Crabtree. Now, Rick Gehring.
Rick Gehring, yes, of course attendance is important. The question, how do we get those quote butts in the seats? I think we're taking steps in the right direction. I know that we've had some conversations with local law enforcement about maybe holding parents a little bit more accountable, which I think is huge. We have attendance interventionists now. That was something that before Nicole took the secretary position, that was an opening at Hosea that she almost took. Following up with the parents, making sure that they're getting their kids to school. We definitely have to keep kids engaged. Whatever school they go to, we need to make sure they all can take the same courses, have the same activities that they can do. As a kid, I remember school's not fun. I don't think everyone wakes up excited every day wanting to go to school, but at the end of the day, it's our job to go to school. It's not fun, but we have to be there, and parents have to be held a little bit more accountable, and I think we're taking steps in the right direction to accomplish that.
Thank you, Rick Gehring. Brad Hewitt.
Brad Hewitt, for attendance with me, continuing to let the teachers make their classrooms a fun place to be, let them have freedom to make that a place that students want to be. Protect them while they're in the buildings. In reference to bullying, I don't know that any student enjoys being bullied, obviously, so they're going to avoid school if they can. So getting those issues addressed consistently and effectively to where those issues resolve, so they don't have to worry about coming to school and being picked on every day, to where they're going to enjoy those classrooms even more. That can take away from the great environment the teacher's creating. I just believe that's a big issue in the attendance. And second, being that parent accountability. Like, there's no good reason on a consistent basis that parents don't get their kids to school. Obviously things happen and that's okay, but I feel that there's we're missing the part where parents need to be accountable of doing their part and getting them there on time daily. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad Hewitt. Jennifer Kearns.
Jennifer Kearns. So you guys are going to hear my PTA voice come out right now. Parent engagement. I believe when the student sees the parent engaged, then they're more engaged, and it's true again and again. We let the parents in this help out with the classrooms. The kids see their parents engaged, they're going to come, and the attendance is going to be better. Attendance is also accountability. We have to hold the parents accountable to get their kids there. And obviously it's important. I mean, look at our test scores. If you look at it, that shows right there, the attendance is important and we need to work on it.
Jennifer Kearns, thank you. Next is Whitney Lanning.
Whitney Lanning. The number one barrier for low-income families to get to work or school is transportation. Right now, our transportation routes, if you live within 1 mile of the school, you're not eligible for transportation. And 1 mile may not sound like a lot, but our lowest attendance is in our lowest grades. So if you are a mom and you have a kindergartner and a baby, and it's cold or it's raining or the baby is sick, you have a decision to make. Do you bundle everybody up and you walk the 0.9 miles to school, or do you stay at home? So I think there are some practical things that we could do. I think we could remove those that 1 mile boundary for our title schools especially. But I also think that we need to look at our school boundaries. We have kids that live south of Frederick Avenue that attend Lindbergh. So if you miss the bus and your parents don't have a car, you're not going. So I think there's some practical things that we could do that could really improve attendance.
Thank you, Whitney Lanning. Brian Schul.
Brian Schul. Best part of being the last person to answer the question is everybody took my answer. So I think we do have a lot of different areas. The bullying, the mental health and behaviors in the school, I think that is a huge contributing factor to the lack of attendance, because I remember being bullied growing up and I didn't want to go to school. Unfortunately, I had a school bus driver as a mom, and she forced me to get on her bus to go to school. So didn't really have a choice there. And I think, the transportation is a huge issue. So the boundaries need to be addressed. I will say a lot of people talk about academics and the way that kids learn, and this will be the only football reference I use, but if anybody watched the Chiefs game where the Titans kind of took on Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, like, that's okay, I've got 5 other plays. That's how I view the teachers are in this district. They know how to teach to each one of their individual students because they have that education. They know what works for this student, what works for this student, what works for this student. And so we have great quality educators here in the district. So I think there's a lot more other issues we have to focus on.
Thank you, Brian Schul. Next question, we're going to start at Brian's end and work this way. The question here is, please describe your experience with managing a budget that is not your own, if any, and how do you prioritize resources based on limited funds? Brian Schul.
Really the only experience that I have, and to a degree it wasn't really managing as just overseeing, is my time again as student governor for Missouri Western and overseeing that budget. There were times during my tenure there that we did have to make the tough decisions, and so it really is, and I hate to put it this way, but you got to have a thick skin to be in this kind of position. You have to make those tough decisions. What will do the most good at that particular time? And sometimes it's not a popular decision. There's a lot of people in this room that are very much aware that decisions aren't always popular and not everybody's going to like your answer, but we're up here because we are prepared to make the tough decisions even if there's backlash that comes with it.
Thank you, Brian Schul. Whitney Lanning.
So I mentioned at the beginning that I am the executive director of a local nonprofit. Our budget is approximately $12 million. When I took over 7 years ago, it was $3 million, so I'm really proud of growing that budget. I've also been on several boards and commissions. I was the former president of Northwest Health Services. Their budget's slightly over $20 million. So I have that experience. I will say that being a nonprofit executive director, you have to be very creative with the resources that you get because they can be very scarce. So when I make budgeting decisions, the first thing I always do is making sure that we're investing in our staff. And part of that, of course, is benefits and wages, but it's also supplies and facilities and making sure that people are proud of where they work. I will always believe that if you have happy teachers, you'll have happy kids, and that's what I'll work for if I'm elected.
Thank you, Whitney Lanning. And Jennifer Kearns.
Jennifer Kearns. So I currently am over 10 to 12 PTA units that all have their own budgets, and as well as the council that has a big budget for all of them. So a lot of times, especially in the Title I schools, they don't get as much fundraising as they do the other schools that have more income coming in. So a lot of times you have to prioritize. You have to prioritize what the need is for the schools, where the money needs to go, make sure the students do come first and they have what they need to learn. So yes, I have worked with lots of budgets and been the treasurer of many of the units as well.
Thank you, Jennifer Kearns. Brad Hewitt.
Brad Hewitt. So for me, I'm going to be the oddball here. I do not have a heavy background or experience in managing large budgets. I work in EMS. I answer 911 calls. I don't deal with the budget. This is something I'm learning in this process of the school district. So for me, it's just a continued learning experience of learning the process and how things work. And just, I would say, when making those decisions, if I had to give this answer, would be obviously you prioritize what you feel is most important, and then, do what you can to fund it. So that's my answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad Hewitt. Rick Gehring.
As far as finances and budgets, I have quite a bit of experience there. Before I was in sales, I was a financial advisor for about 10 years, so had a lot of experience there with helping people manage their money, helping them make tough decisions, managing their budgets. When I was on the school board, I was on the finance committee. At that time, Dr. Edgar was the assistant superintendent over finance, so he did a great job with giving us the numbers that we needed to see, and we had a very strong budget. I think right now we have about $136 million annually. Seems like a ton of money, but when you have a lot of buildings that are in bad shape, it's hard to get preventative maintenance on those buildings. A lot of times it's a fix it as needed. So we have to continue to get families to move it in this town, to have some more money coming in, so maybe we can get to a point where we can do some more preventative measures for some of these buildings that are in disrepair.
Thank you, Rick Gehring. Don Crabtree.
Don Crabtree. The 30 years experience I had with the not-for-profit National Speech and Debate Association really helped. We certainly learned very quickly you can't spend more than you have. And there was a time when we almost couldn't make our payroll for our staff. And because of some great work and due diligence by the board, which does change every 4 years depending on who is elected, it now is around 16 million. And bought a new office in Des Moines and is healthy and robust. But the important thing is to constantly be aware of what you're spending for. Is it an effective expenditure? Is it worth the amount of money that you put in it?
Thank you, Don Crabtree. Next, Amanda Cook.
Amanda Cook. So I have an associate's degree in accounting, and my husband and I have both owned a small business here in St. Joe at one point in time. And when he went back to school in 2010, I raised a family of 3 boys and my husband and I on a budget of $27,000. So if I can raise 3 children on $27,000 and live within our means, I think that I would have the skills to help manage even a multi-million-dollar budget.
Thank you, Amanda Cook. Next is Harold Barr.
Harold Barr. As I said earlier, I had my own business here for 15 years, and you can't be in business, make payroll, and take care of your buildings and everything, your equipment, and get new equipment and everything if you don't have a budget. And you know, I've done this for years and I understand it. However, with the school, you know, payroll has to be first, and then you go to everything else. And if you don't make payroll, you're not gonna keep your teachers, and teachers' retention is one of the things that we've got to work on.
Thank you, Harold Barr. Our next question, we'll answer this question starting with Harold and moving this way. Did you attend any of the Vision Forward community engagement sessions? If not, why not? If yes, what did you learn? Harold Barr.
I'm sorry, I did not understand the
Okay.
question.
Did you attend any of the Vision Forward community engagement sessions? If not, why not? If yes, what did you learn?
And the answer is no, I did not. I did not attend mainly because I wasn't aware of when the meetings were and what they were about.
That was Harold Barr. Next is Amanda Cook.
Amanda Cook. I did not attend the Vision Forward meetings. I had other avenues that I was going down for working with this Central High School swim team and being involved with the activities for that program. However, I did follow the Vision Forward. I stayed on top of it to see where the community felt that the district needed to go. And I feel like Vision Forward was a great asset to give ideas to the school district on where they want to see the school district become.
Thank you, Amanda Cook. Don Crabtree.
Don Crabtree. I had the honor and privilege of being on the committee on the Vision Forward, as well as a few years ago, the PAC committee. I learned that the community has a lot of sincere, important issues that will be hard to address all of them. There were many, many, many. And to be honest with you, I was very active in the committee until Dr. Swaby said, no, I think I'll need to see you in the operating room. And so it was a few weeks that I had to take off before I could come back, which was really kind of at the conclusion of the committee. But they worked hard. It was a very impressive group.
I think we could give you an excused absence on that. Thank you, Don Crabtree. Next is Rick Gehring.
Rick Gehring, yes, I was fortunate enough to attend several of the Vision Forward meetings. One in particular that stuck out was when they had the meeting at Benton High School and talked about facilities, and a lot of good opinions and collaboration and talks came from that. I really enjoyed Vision Forward because it was just a great way to get the community engaged. A lot of the community that had differing opinions. It wasn't one group that all had the same opinion. Sometimes those become echo chambers and you just hear the same thing over and over. But when you have something like Vision Forward and you get differing opinions from the community, it really kind of opens your eyes to see other people's views and things of that nature.
Thank you, Rick Gehring. Next is Brad Hewitt.
Brad Hewitt. I was able to attend one of those Vision Forward meetings in which, simple answer, I learned everything from those meetings. What I enjoyed about them for the one I went to was the community engagement, the different ideas, and respectfully being able to discuss those in that space. A highlight for the one I attended would be, again, the facilities aspect of things. I was not aware of all the issues that were brought up. And so I learned quite a bit about the facilities through that. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad Hewitt. Jennifer Kearns.
Jennifer Kearns. So yes, I did attend several of those meetings. What I did like about it is sitting at a table with different community members and doing the workshops and filling out those papers and listening to opinions. I did see a couple people I sat with in here, but as a business owner, I saw the business owner, a principal, a teacher, and hearing their side was definitely opening my eyes and listening to where the problems are. I do think it is a good strike forward for our community once we get everything in action like we are.
Thank you, Jennifer Kearns. Whitney Lanning.
Hi, Whitney Lanning. So yes, I did attend several Vision Forward meetings. What I learned from that experience is that there is more that we agree on than we disagree on. I think that the issues in our district are very clear to the majority of our community members. how we get there and the solutions that we implement to solve those problems we may disagree on. But I think it's very, I think people are very aware that if whoever gets elected over the next 3 years are gonna have some really challenging decisions to make. And so I think it's gonna be important that you elect people that are transparent, that are outspoken, and that are willing to make difficult decisions for our kids and our staff.
Thank you, Whitney. And Brian Schul.
Brian Schul. So it's a yes and no question for me because yes, I attended, but it was on the virtual platform. My wife and I stayed home and we were in the virtual outbreaks and such as that. So what I did learn, very similar to what everybody else has set up here, is that we have a lot of the same issues that we agree need to be addressed, but then there's a lot of issues out there that some of us were not made aware of, and that again, the district is going in the right direction, but we've still got a long way to go, and it's nice to know that some of the issues that several of us have said that's what we want to focus on is also something that was addressed in Vision Forward.
Thank you, Brian Schul. So we'll start at Brian's end and come back this way for this question here. Should the St. Joseph School District consider moving to a 4-day week? What would be the advantages, disadvantages? What would the factors be that you'd consider in recommending a decision on that?
Again, Brian Schul. I don't have a solid answer for this question without doing the actual research behind it. I know a couple of the districts down in Kansas City have recently switched over to the 4-day work week, and it's fairly new to them. So I would have to really dive into the research to say if it would be effective here in the St. Joseph. We have proven that we can do the hybrid model of not being in the classroom if necessary. I know that that 5th day would not be a learning day as all, but we have shown that we can virtually learn. So again, without doing the research and really diving into it, it would be hard to have an answer for that question.
Thank you, Brian Schul. Whitney Lanning.
Whitney Lanning. So I am very concerned about moving to a 4-day school model. DESE has come out with statements saying that they don't have enough data to really be able to tell if it's effective with student outcomes and test scores. But we've all seen what happened when Independence moved to a 4-day school week. They saw a huge improvement in the number of people and the number of staff that were applying there. So I'm really concerned about that. We have a child care crisis in our community, and so what would happen on that fifth day for working families is concerning. Where kids would go and what they would be doing if they didn't have proper child care would be concerning to me as well. But ultimately, if all of the districts around us are doing that, then we're going to be in a situation where in order to compete with staff, we may have to do that. So I'm very concerned about that, and so I think we need more information before we would move into that direction.
Thank you, Whitney Lanning. Jennifer Kearns.
So for the 4-day week, I think my more concern is the attention spans of the kids. We have a hard time keeping their attention the whole day as it is. What are we going to do if it's longer? Also, the employees who are not there the 5th day, what are we going to do about their pay? I mean, there's so many questions that I need answers to before I can make this decision, and a lot of concerns, because ultimately it's the community that comes first. I think the teachers, if they're going to be there 5 days, if they felt like they were well supported in a positive environment, would it matter if they were teaching 4 or 5 days? Just lots of questions for me. Not saying that can't happen, but I think we need to see what happens to the areas around us and what happens to their test scores and the results of it.
Thank you, Jennifer Kearns. Brad Hewitt.
Brad Hewitt. For me, for the 4-day work week or school week, I'm not a fan of it currently. Again, I think it still needs more information, more models to see how this will impact long term. We're already struggling academically, and I fear that moving to that model may continue to show that decline. From a parent perspective, childcare, that's huge. Like we were talking about, transportation is an issue for parents. Taking away that 5th day, parents that work around the clock, one spouse comes home, one leaves, that is going to continue to put that hindrance on them. So currently I don't support it. Again, still more information. I think it should have a fair discussion if it proves in the long term that it can be a benefit. But currently I do not support it.
Thank you, Brad Hewitt. Rick Gehring.
I feel like there's 3 things you really have to look at to decide if this is a good thing to do, and that's attendance. How would it affect our attendance of the kids? Would it help increase attendance? Would it take it down? The other thing is academics. kind of what was said earlier, you know, attention spans in kids these days is a little hard to judge. And would they be able to go a little bit longer? Would they be able to still be engaged? And the other thing is, what do the teachers think? I think at the end of the day, they're the professionals that are in these buildings every day, and we really have to listen to our teachers and educators and support staff and see how they feel on it, but continue to at least look at the data, look at the numbers, and see kind of trends if it would be a good thing or a negative thing on the community.
Thank you, Rick Gehring. Don Crabtree.
Don Crabtree. I read some studies on this, and originally it was done in smaller districts for teacher retention. The studies really are pretty inconclusive in terms of larger districts on does that really help. My concern is if you look at some of our scores now, we're behind, and now we're going to take a day away, which makes it, to me, seem even harder to catch up. I am not a fan, having done it for a semester, of Zoom or virtual learning. Is it better than nothing? Yes, but a tiny bit. I think the kids need to be physically there as long as everything is safe. And then I really do worry about, and this was mentioned, childcare. Boom, you got an extra day to worry about who's going to pay for it, where you're going to take them. There's a limited number of spots that we can put your children right now. So I would not be in favor of a 4-day week.
Thank you, Don Crabtree. Amanda Cook.
Amanda Cook. I'm going to sound like a broken record. I tend to agree with the other candidates. I don't have enough information about moving to a 4-day school week. I know that there are smaller districts that do it and they thrive. For them, that works, but they are a smaller school district where they might have one elementary school, one middle school, one high school.
Thank you, Amanda. I'm sorry.
For a larger district, you know, it might not be what's best for us. So we really need to look at the data of these other communities, larger communities that are going to the 4-day work week or school week, pardon me, to see how they are thriving and whether they are thriving or not, to see if it's best fit for our school district.
Thanks, Amanda. And Harold Barr.
I'm Harold Barr. I think that the 4-day week is something that really does need to be looked into. I'm not sure that we should do it. But I think it's something that needs to be brought up and looked at. As they say, it seems to work well with some of the smaller districts, but as far as large districts, the only one I know of is, and this is their first year, is Independent. And would need to look at that. I can see where it would be advantageous, particularly for high schools, but I can see where it would be a real detriment to the elementary. But there are many parents out there that have, instead of working 5/8, they're now working 4/10s, or in some cases even like 3/12. So I don't know about okay, I'll quit there.
Thank you, Harold Barr. All right, next question is, do you feel our schools do a good job with recognizing those students with special needs, providing them the resources needed to get a quality education? Your thoughts on this? This would be, we'll start at Harold Barr's end and come this way.
I didn't understand the question.
Okay, the question was, do you feel our schools do a good job with recognizing those students with special needs and providing them the resources needed to get a quality education?
Yes, I do think that they do. I'm not saying that anything can't be better, but I think they do recognize it. I am a product of this school system. When I went to school, I stuttered and stammered, and I know I got attention 1 hour a week. I had a teacher that would come down and give me speech lessons, and up through, I think it was 5th grade. And as you can tell, I am a better speaker now, but I'm not perfect.
Thank you, Harold Barr. Amanda Cook.
Amanda Cook. I do feel that our schools try to do their best to address the special needs children in our school district. Could they do better? Yes. Why do I feel that way? Because we have a lot of kids that have special needs that might not be able to get that assistance because there's not enough teachers, not enough educators, not enough parents to give them the assistance and the help that they need. So I feel like that we need to look into that more to help the teachers and the parents to be able to give the children with special needs the best education that they can get, but without having those educators, it'll be difficult. But I do feel that the school district does their absolute best in helping those with special needs.
Thank you, Amanda Cook. Next is Don Crabtree.
Don Crabtree. First of all, I think the special ed teachers are saints. I would often at school go in just to watch the incredible things that they do and the hard work, the IEPs, the 504s. The paperwork alone was daunting to me. So I think they do great here. Always we can be better. They need more resources. We need at least paras if we can't get enough people to go into the special education, which again is a tough position. But I do think they do well. I think certainly more money would help them with the resources, and at the very least paras to help them as well.
Thank you, Don Crabtree. Rick Gehring.
I think our special educators are doing a great job. I think they would tell you they could use more help. So always, going to the table, trying to find ways where we can incentivize maybe to avenues to get more special education teachers here in our district. But at the end of the day, I think they do a great job because, really we want our kids who are in school that have these disabilities, we want them to feel like they're going to school like everybody else and want to make them feel just like every other student. And I think our teachers do a great job with that.
Thank you, Rick Gehring. Brad Hewitt.
Brad Hewitt, I believe that the school district does a great job at recognizing the need for, like, an example, an IEP plan. I have a nephew that's on one. It's done tremendous work for him. I believe that there needs to be more resources in getting that staff to where they can be that more relief for those educators. The educators that do that are, from my experience, very good with those needs. The communication with the parent side, from my experience, has been great. Again, just support them in what they need resource-wise, more staffing to be able to get a broader grab on more at a time to get kids through that and get improvement made quickly. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad Hewitt. Jennifer Kearns.
Jennifer Kearns. Gonna sound kind of the same here, but we do have a good department already. I do like working with them as I've had to in the past. I do think the resources, the facilities, I think our facilities need to be more equipped for the extreme special needs. We need more staff to handle that as well as I like to see more that specializes in certain disabilities, such as like dyslexia. That we need more of in our school district. But as of now, I think we have a great team. We just need more of it and more resources.
Thank you, Jennifer Kearns. Whitney Lanning.
Whitney Lanning. So along with my two daughters, I've also been a foster parent to 10 children over the past 3 years. And in 2019, we had the sweetest little boy walk into our house. He was 5. He was going to be a kindergartner. He had never been in any sort of early learning environment, and he had suspected speech delays. It took about 10 minutes of him being in our house that we realized that he was autistic. So that was September. It took 5 months for us to get him through the SPED assessment process and get him into an IEP. It took 8 months for us to get an appointment at Children's Mercy for him to be diagnosed with autism. And it was a very challenging experience. Our district did a great job But there's definitely ways that we can get better, or there's always ways to improve. Yeah.
Thank you, Whitney Lanning. Brian Schul.
Brian Schul. Again, a lot of my answer has already been said, so I don't want to sound like a broken record. I've spent the last several weeks touring our facilities, being actually in the buildings, seeing what's going on there. And we do have a very good special education program in several of the buildings, and then in several of the buildings, we have some work we need to do. One of the tours that I took, it was quite interesting. One of the students was having a not so good day, and so he got to go on the tour with me. So that was a fun little experience with me. But I think to answer that question is we are going in the right direction, but there is so many more resources and areas that we can improve upon that we really need to dive in and see how we can make it equitable that every student gets the same quality education, whether you're a normal student or a special education student.
Next question is, do you believe in keeping 3 high schools, or are you open to looking at what would provide equal opportunities for all St. Joseph School District students? We'll start at Brian Schul's end and work this way.
So for those of you that are listening on the radio, the whole room just went, ooh. So I am for keeping 3 high schools. I think when it comes to the current boundary situation we have, the high schools are the only thing that makes sense in this district with the current boundaries. You have a south end, you have a north end, and you have a central. No pun intended on that last one. So I am for keeping the 3 high schools as they are because they make the most sense right now.
That was Brian Schul. Next is Whitney Lanning.
Whitney Lanning. If you want to see an interesting facilities committee meeting, you can go online to the school district website and watch the meeting from yesterday. We had a lively discussion about this. I have and always will fully support a 3 high school model. The reason for that is because I have and will always believe that community-based schools with small class sizes are best for staff and students.
Thank you, Whitney Lanning. Jennifer Kearns.
Jennifer Kern. So this question has been in my inbox so many times. I'm not going to tell you a straight answer of how many high schools. I'm going to tell you that it is a community decision. It's not, even though the board makes that decision at first, it comes down to the community. We have to involve them. I'd rather look at inside the high schools and see what the academics are and make them more consistent. Make sure our kids get the same education across every single school. As we all know, some high schoolers can't even read right now. I'd rather work on our test scores and retain and attract families that way and make it the academic of choice. And then once we do that, then we figure out where we need to go from there. But however, every big decision, we need to present the facts to the community and have them on board for any plan. But we do have to move forward, but we have to do it as a community.
Thank you, Jennifer Kearns. Here's Brad Hewitt.
Brad Hewitt, short and sweet. 3 high schools. I have and will continue to support the 3 high schools to stay in place. I don't like the idea of merging or building new to have bigger class sizes. Again, I think that lower class size for instructional purposes is best. And not to mention, we're introducing more issues with issues we're already having. Bullying is going to get greater, more students in the same building. We're going to have more discipline actions in classrooms. It's a good way, in my opinion, to keep the schools open to avoid worsening our current issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad Hewitt. Rick Garing.
So the last time I ran, I was for the bond. I was for moving to the 2 school model. Hindsight being 2020, was it the best plan we could have came up with? Maybe not. Maybe there were some things we could have done differently. At the end of the day, the voters came out and said they weren't for it. My view is no matter what happens, if we go to 1, if we go to 2, if we go to 3, if we go to 4, whatever we go to, moving forward, we have to offer the same academics, athletics, fine arts. Everything needs to be the same across the board. It is not fair that my kid at Benton cannot take classes or do certain activities that kids at Central can do. So however we move forward, it has to be equality. It has to be equal moving forward. And we also have to be fiscally responsible with these tax dollars. To continue to pour money into certain buildings, we're missing the boat. We're not being fiscally responsible there. So that's my answer.
Thank you, Rick Garing. Don Crabtree.
Don Crabtree. Rick and I are very much in agreement the community spoke pretty loudly about what they wanted. And if you look at the numbers, you had 750, about 729, 1,700 in the 3 buildings. And that would come out to about 1,061 in each building, which is a tremendous number for a school. Gives kids a lot of opportunity for extracurricular, for one-on-one, smaller class sizes. But likewise also, we've got to see what we're investing in those crumbling buildings. I'm huge, as Rick is, with parity, what we call equity, that if I take anatomy and physiology at Lafayette, you ought to be able to take it at Benton and not have to Zoom it or get on a bus and go to Missouri Western or whatever. Every kid's got to be able to have the same starting point. What they do with it is up to that individual young person, but the same ability and material where they start together.
Thank you, Don Crabtree. Amanda Cook.
Amanda Cook. I agree with Rick and Don. I feel like, yes, looking at everything from a parent and a community member, I was for 2 schools, and I'm still would be okay with 2 schools. I don't feel that 1 school would fit our community, but maybe 3 schools, maybe 4 schools, like Rick said. The thing is before we can make those decisions, we have to look at the buildings, the facilities themselves, and see what conditions they're in. You know, if we can continue repairing them and maintaining them, then great, let's keep them open. But I also do feel that, you know, there are 1,700 students at Central, and there are around 800 at each of the other 2 schools, Lafayette and Benton. You know, is it fair? No, it's always been that way, but maybe it's time to stop doing what we've always done and look into doing something a little different and making it more equal across the board for everyone.
Thank you, Amanda Cook. Harold Barr.
Thank you, Harold Barr. I think we all are kind of in agreement here that we have 1 school that gets more attention than the other 2. And we need to make it more equitable all across the board so that every student gets the same. Whether, 3 schools, 2 schools, whatever it happens to be. But keep in mind, we're investing in students, not investing in buildings.
Thank you, Harold Barr, and thank you to all of our candidates for their thoughtfulness, for answering the questions, and for running for an office that doesn't pay anything, but it's really, really important in this community. Absolutely. Thank you very much for that. Final comments here from Natalie Redmond, the Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you. And Barry and I have been doing these forums for about 18 years now, so I really appreciate Barry and his willingness to do these forums, as well as Eagle Communication for their partnership. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Thanks to the folks running for office. I spoke earlier as to why this is important to the chamber and why many business leaders are in the room today, because it's crucial to the betterment of our community. The investment in public education is a top issue for us right now. But personally, I have a 7th grader at Bodie Middle School, and as a mom, I say thank you. This is a tireless, thankless job sometimes. So to those board members in the audience, thank you. To those willing to run, thank you. We appreciate it. As Barry mentioned, you don't really get paid and you put a lot of hours in. So if you're willing to put yourself out there for public service, our community needs you, and we thank you. At this time, I do want to do a special recognition, so I'll keep you for just a few moments later. I want to take a moment to recognize someone in the audience. It takes a lot to seek an elected position. A lot of time, a lot of talent, a lot of treasure. It is a significant commitment, and one of those that at times seems thankless. Add on top of that commitment agreeing to take on a leadership role, and everything doubles. Today, on behalf of the Community Alliance, we would like to thank David Foster. David has decided not to seek a 2nd term as president of the Board of Education. He will remain on the board. The new president will be elected after the April 4th election. We would like to recognize him on behalf of all of the Community Alliance partners. We want to thank David for his leadership role as president and as a partner to the Alliance. During David's tenure, he was able to fulfill a successful school funding initiative, as well as many other things. We are grateful for those things that he has worked tirelessly on, and we want to publicly show our appreciation. So at this time, I'd like to invite the Community Alliance partners to come forward, as well as David Foster, to just give him some recognition. We'll see you next Thursday.